And good morning. It's 7:04 on this Friday, April 11th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. A Friday morning and end of the week coming upon us here, and we welcome you to our program. We're on the air each Friday at this time for Wilson Bank and Trust, and we're going to be talking Watertown this morning. Christy Patterson, who's the office manager there and assistant vice president, is with us this morning. Christy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And we have Zach Roberts, who's the assistant office manager there. Zach, good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman.
We're glad to have you both. And how are things in Watertown?
It's good and booming this morning.
Yeah, busy time of the month. Busy time of the month today. We got the yard sale this weekend. I think people were starting to set up. I saw people set up Tuesday, so it's not just a one day. I think it's a week-long event. Saw some Jughead barbecue, had some barbecue smoking this morning, so it ought to get you in the mood for lunch.
The mile-long yard sale.
Yard sale.
That's longer than a mile.
That's longer than a mile, yes.
All right. Well, the Wilson Bank is, as far as I know, you're the only bank that's in Watertown, and you I guess pretty much claim the eastern end of the county, rightfully so.
Yes, sir.
That's a fair statement.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, how long have you been the manager there, Christy?
I took over in January.
Okay, so you just assumed that a few months ago.
I did. I've been there 18 years this month, so I've been with Miss Lynn the whole time that I was there, and she's still there part time.
Yeah, and I'll bet in that length of time though you have made a lot of friends in the banking community and in Watertown who come there to do their banking.
Oh yes, sir.
Yeah.
You meet a lot of people doing the school bank program and just coming in the doors, and it's just a nice community to live in and work in.
And Zach, what about you?
Yes, sir. So I started assistant manager right when Christy started manager, when Miss Lynn retired or went to part-time. So that's been since January 1, and I've been with the bank total, let's see, it'll be 8 years this May.
Yeah. Okay, so you got a little banking experience under your belt as well.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, what in particular you want to talk about this morning?
Well, this month is Financial Literacy Month. A lot of our school bank programs will go out to the local schools and do a program called Teach Children to Save. We think that financial literacy is important, and we offer some things on our online banking. When you pull up the website, there's some articles that you can read. There's things to teach at home for financial literacy. We just think it's important to understand the needs and wants as children, as they grow, to be able to save and be prepared for adult life.
And I take it that's really not part of the curriculum in most of our schools, I don't think, but it's nice that they make time for a professional like you to come in and tell some of the rudimentary elements of banking, get them thinking in that direction, I guess.
Yes, sir.
And saving a little money.
Yes, sir. And it builds a relationship with the bank, and we think that's important, too. It's always nice to recognize your customers when they come in and call them by name, and we want to help them be prepared, in life and to be able to buy homes and cars.
Right. Well, Zach, are you a part of that, going to the schools?
So sometimes I do get the privilege to go to the school bank, and they don't like me going a lot because I get the kids fired up for and get them in trouble. So I get to go every now and then.
Okay. Well, what else do we want to talk about?
We also wanted to talk about the train rides coming in. Of course, the train will come in this weekend for the yard sale, and we have a train coming on, I think it's April the 19th. We have a big Easter egg hunt at the park in Watertown, and it starts at 2 o'clock. And we also have the big train robbery on May the 17th coming up, which is for the Sue Talley Scholarship Fund.
Well, that's about 3 things in just about a month's time.
Yes, sir. It's a busy month. I think there's a few other train rides coming to Watertown in between those two, but those are the 2 big events that we have.
Well, of course, lending money is the way most banks make, I guess, most of their money. And you have money to lend, of course, and you can get that loan. You you, Christy, no doubt do a lot of loans.
Well, I'm not the loan side.
You're
I'm
not.
deposit side. But now Zach is our loan officer.
All right. Well, Zach,
Yeah.
talk about loans then.
Yes, sir. We are running some specials for this summer, so come by any branch, and we'll be happy to discuss those with you, whether it be construction, purchasing a business, purchasing your home. We'll be happy to help you out.
So
Local credit
somebody comes to Christy and says, I want to borrow some money, she says, see Zach over
That's
there.
right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do my best.
And if they want to open up a checking account, what do you say?
I said, I'll go introduce you to Miss Christie.
Well, you've got a good thing going there,
Yes.
and but whether you're borrowing money or want to open an account, and of course you do CDs as well, right?
Yes, sir.
All of this full service bank in every way, right there in Watertown, and your hours I think are pretty much the same. The Wilson Bank's hours are pretty much the same all over, aren't they?
I think our office is one of them that's open from 8:30 to 12 every Saturday, and some offices are not open.
Right. Okay. All right. Will that do it this morning?
Yeah, we could talk about we've got some great checking accounts, high yield checking accounts, and savings accounts. So y'all stop by and see us.
All right, great. Well, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you,
Christy
Coleman.
Patterson, the office manager, assistant vice president, and assistant office manager Zach Roberts, the Watertown branch, Wilson Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal housing lender, excellence in banking since 1987. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, 10 and a half after the hour, it's Friday, and at this time on Friday, you know what that means. It's time for our Friday Senate report, and here he is, Senator Mark Pody.
Good morning, Coleman. What a great day to be alive.
Every Friday is a great day for you.
Oh, it is. It is. You know, but we got Watertown Wilson Bank. I've got to tell you, we did actually something for Leanne, who just recently changed from being a manager to kind of a part-time position. And she's been there for many, many years helping to build Watertown. And we did a little bit of award for her just to kind of call her out and thank her for her service and such. We did that at the chamber meeting last week. And speaking of Watertown, we also did an appropriation. So we submitted something because they're trying to put that train turntable in there. So we submitted for $600,000 from the state in appropriations. I made that presentation. Now I'm going to get it funded. I don't think it's going very well in the funding portion of it, but that was something I'm trying to get for Watertown at the same time.
Well, sometimes you have to try a year or two in a row before it comes through.
That's exactly right. But Watertown, you know, when we moved to this area of the county, because I came to Mount Julia first, but then we moved to Watertown for the school systems and so forth, and my heart is so much in Watertown. That's where my kids graduated high school and so forth. So I always like when we hear and talk about Watertown.
Okay, where are we? You've got something else I know you want to talk about. Is this the time for that?
It is, Coleman. I'm going to tell you, this just came out from the comptroller's office. I'm going to leave this chart with you, but it shows Tennessee that we are one of the 7th fastest growing state in the entire nation in the last 4 years, from 2020 to 2024, and the population numbers just came out, and it shows right around Davis County, Middle Tennessee. I'm going to tell you, Cheatham County grown by 3.7, Robertson County by 7.8, Sumner County by 7.9, Williamson County by 8.6, Rutherford County over 10% growth, but Wilson County over 15% growth, and that put us 51st in the entire nation on how fast Wilson County is growing. So when people are moving, they get to make a choice where they want to move to, and they are moving to Wilson County. And it's ironic, Davidson County is right in the middle, but they had the smallest growth. They had less than 2% growth. It is Wilson County that they're coming to, and we're feeling here with our infrastructure right now and the pressure on their schools and so forth. But one other point on this chart that I found was interesting, counties like Shelby County actually took a decrease. People are moving out of some of those counties, and where we are growing and booming here in Middle Tennessee. It's not like that all across the state. If we look at over at the western part of the state, most of those counties actually took a decrease. So that's good news for Wilson County, though.
Well, it's we know the growth is here. That is for sure. We see it all the time, every day.
That's exactly right. And going back to Watertown, because when we went into Watertown, you could just it was just a really old, quaint type town. Now I see new construction everywhere in Watertown, that there's more and more growth going out that way. It used to be like Mount Juliet was kind of sleepy, grew, and then Lebanon grew, and now it's reaching out to Watertown. So our whole county across the board is growing very, very quickly.
Okay, how are you in the legislature? You ready to hang it up?
Oh, we are. I was hoping to be out next week, and we had planned on originally if we could get out by next Thursday. However, it looks like it's going to fall into the next week as well, and they're telling me that perhaps Monday and Tuesday of the following week will probably be still in session to wind things up.
What's causing this?
The Senate's ready. I mean, we've got everything pretty much ready, but I think we're waiting on the House just a little bit, and we're very close. We'll get the budget next week, and when we do the budget, it's got to break down into a couple things. The final budget will be presented, and we'll vote on it, but there's always money that's going to say, here's some extra money that we want to look at to allocate to, for example, bills that have been passed but not funded. They call that behind the budget. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to say, of those bills that were passed, which ones are the highest or best priority? And we'll start funding some of those until that money runs out. And then there's something called appropriations. And appropriations are where legislators, like myself, would put in specific money, and like I did for the Watertown project, and say, hey, this is something important to my district, and what can we do to fund that for our district? And so Watertown, I got to make the case why that would be a good program for the state to invest that $600,000 in. And once that money is used up, and there's a pool of money, once that's gone, bring that to the final vote, and that's it, and we're done. Yep. That's the last thing we have to do constitutionally before we can sign out. They have to have a balanced budget. We got to pass it.
Okay, Senator Mark Pody is here. We'll continue after we take a break here on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways. And it's all brought to you by Absolute Kubota. They'll help you rent the right tool for the job. The Kubota Orange Rental Program makes it easy to rent the right equipment. Stop by Absolute Kubota, check out the U35 excavator or the SVL 75 compact track loader. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. A car was up against the wall a few minutes ago out here in Antioch on 24 westbound near Hickory Hollow Parkway. TDOT's behind it trying to get it out of there because of all that heavy traffic that's coming in from Murfreesboro, Rutherford County up through Antioch right now on 24 westbound at Hickory Hollow Parkway. Wrapping up that wreck downtown Nashville, 40 west right at Church Street. It is over to the right-hand side, but there's still some rubber ducking there in that area. Hey, Princess Hot Chicken has new items on the menu. Check them all out this weekend as you order online at princesshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Save time and money with a business account from Wilson Bank & Trust. Our great account benefits help you grow your business with online and mobile banking. No monthly fee for bill pay and low monthly balance requirements. You'll enjoy easier record keeping and tax reporting when you open a business account to keep your business expense separate from personal too. A business account helps preserve your personal liability protections from business obligations. Wilson Bank & Trust is here to get you there. Visit us at any of our 30 office locations across Tennessee or go online at wilsonbank.com. Member FDIC.
Coleman and Company here on a Friday morning. Our Friday Senate report with Senator Mark Pody. Well, let's pick up where we left off.
So a few interesting bills came through this week. One of them was our TCRS. We have for our pension for the state employees and the teachers, and we've made the decision to say we need to start diversing ourselves from organizations or companies that we've invested in that are China-based. And because we're actually going into a national situation of kind of a little bit of a trade war here and tariffs and so forth, I think it's time that we pull out of anything that we're investing in China. So we passed that piece of legislation. I think the comptroller, treasurer is all on board that that's the best thing that we should do.
Is that going to be difficult at all? Are you just pretty much switching an investment from one company to another?
Yes. Okay. And so we got plenty of options, and there's no sense us investing in a foreign country that's kind of going to be an adversary, and that doesn't make any sense at all. So we're going to pull the state money out of that. Then the next one we did was kind of for the teachers and such. Our teachers are held accountable to a test that they have to give. But sometimes you're going to get a child that comes in, and they come in the last 30 days or last 60 days of the school year, and the teacher's going to be held accountable for what the student learned. And it could be a homeschool student, it could be somebody that moved in from out of state, whatever. And that teacher is kind of saying, well, you know what, I really didn't have an opportunity to invest and teach that child, but I'm going to be held accountable for how they do on this test. So we're saying that before that teacher's held accountable, that students still got to take the test, but they got to be in the classroom 150 days. And that's going to help, I think, give the teacher a little bit a fair opportunity when those tests are come. Because if you take 3 or 4 kids, put them in the classroom, and they haven't been there, and that teacher would have a hard time, their scores are going to be skewed a little bit, and I think that would be good to help our teachers and help with this testing situation. Something else that we voted on is our election and how companies are investing in political campaigns and races. And we're saying that some of these companies, it's out-of-state money and so forth, and they're actually acting more like PACs and so forth, and there might be private companies, but we want to track that money down a little bit more and see who's actually investing. People sometimes call it dark money, and so we wanted a little bit more clarity on where that money's coming, where it's going, so we passed some money on those kind of election bills.
How are you going to do that?
So they're going to have to file with the State Election Commission, and anybody that has...
disclose where the money goes.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So it's just disclosure forms that they're going to have to do, and where the money came from, where it goes. So we're trying to do that. If a company, and you form like an LLC or a corporation, and you're just saying, hey, I'm a regular company, but the whole business that you have is investing in political candidates, then I don't think you're just a nonprofit company. You are a company that's here for a reason, to make a political difference, and it's on both sides. So it's not one party or the other. We just think clarity of how that money's coming in should be disclosed, and where it's going should be disclosed.
All right, I'm wondering, when you get to the budget here, and just to ask you this, I guess, are you expecting a lot of controversy, a big fight, in other words, over how that money is appropriated? Are any controversial items in there that's going to take a good while to solve?
Not really. I don't think it's going to be too much of a controversy. One of the things that I'm uncomfortable with is we're going to do a little bit of bonding. And that means that we are borrowing a little bit of money. And I'm the type that I don't like to borrow money. I'd like to pay cash as we go. And the state's in really, really good financial condition. But as we're spending this money, and if we bond it, we're actually borrowing money. And so I don't like that. If we don't have the money, even though there's great programs that need to be funded, we need to fund it with whatever we have in current cash and not do any bonding whatsoever. And that's more my approach than what others are. So
is this for some particular thing that we feel a dire need for, or is it just that we've got X number of things to do out here and only Y amount of money, so we're going to go borrow?
Yes. There'll be very specific things that they're going to bond for. However, I just would rather pay as we go and pay off the bonds we have, pay off the debt we have, and that way Tennessee needs to be financially solvent all the way through, and we are, and this isn't going to change how we're rated by the S&P or anything like that, for our Moody's or whatever. We'll still be having the best bond rating that we possibly can, and I can understand it's cheaper money to borrow it right now, but I'm not a good fan of saying that we should do that. I would rather, if we don't have the money, don't spend it. And I can tell you that we're getting cut by the federal government, so we're not going to be getting as much money from the federal government as we used to. And Tennessee has a high rating, a high percentage of money coming from the federal government, because people say, hey, grab the money, it's free. But we're always concerned when that money is cut back. Well, we're going through that cutback now. It's no longer free money. It's not money coming. And should the state make up for some of that, or what we need to look at? There's a lot of other nonprofits. There's lot of organizations that are saying, hey, we're getting cut as well. So the grants are not coming to some of those organizations that are coming to the state saying, the federal government cut us, X number of millions of dollars and such, and we need the state to pick that up. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of picking up that shortage that the federal government is not giving. The state never agreed to fund some of those programs, and I want to just hold the line. It's not that they're not good programs, Coleman, but it's not something the state agreed to, and I'm going to say no to some of those programs. So that's kind of the arguments going through. They're good programs. The feds are cutting them, And I don't want the state picking those up. So I'm going to hold the line and say no.
Let me ask you about, I think there was some discussion even this week, and it has to do with the children who are here, whose parents are not citizens.
Yes.
And you've talked about this before, and I think this is a problem area for you because you feel like now is the time to educate these children or they won't get educated. At the same time, we're kind of in a dilemma.
We are. So we need to find a way to make Tennessee not the state that illegal immigrants come to Tennessee. We want legal immigrants here. We want the workforce. We want them here. But we want them documented. We want them to go through the process and so forth. So we got to make sure that they're coming in the proper way. And one of the things we can do to help that is to say, look, if you're an employer and you're hiring illegal people, they don't have the right documentation, we're going to start holding you accountable, and we're going to actually do some fining on you. And I think that we're going to see some of those bills coming in next year. And that's going to be targeting the parents. That's going to be targeting where that comes from. What this bill did was saying, look, the kids are here, and they're going to, first, second, third, whatever grade, and we're going to have to let each local school district decide if they want to have the opportunity to say, we're only going to educate Tennessee citizens or U.S. citizens. And if you're not a U.S. citizen and you can't show that documentation, then the school board, local school board, can say, we'll still educate you, but you got to pay a tuition to come in. And I can understand that. And it's going to be totally permissive if a local school board wants to do that or not. However, in my situation, when I was going through this piece of legislation, I like the intent. I really like the intent to be saying, in Tennessee, we're not going to spend Tennessee tax dollars to educate people that are here illegally. However, I don't think that my fight is with the children. My fight's going to be with the parents. My fight's going to be with employers that are employing this. My fights are going to be very much focused a different way than with the children. Now, I'm going to tell you, a lot of my conservative friends were upset with the vote that I took, and I get that because they just want to stop educating any children that are undocumented. But I had to follow what my best analysis was, and I don't want kids here and coming to third grade, coming to whatever, and not having an opportunity to have an education that's only going to hurt everybody down the road. If they can't speak English, if they can't help, if they're still here, they still need to work. They still need to do something. We've got to find a way to work through this.
What about this piece of legislation? Where is it? Is it still being considered? It passed.
It passed in the Senate on a very, very close vote. I mean, this was one of the closest votes that we had, but it did pass. It's now over to the House.
So it's up to the House
Yes.
If they pass it, then it'll go to the governor.
Then it'll go to the governor.
Is he pushing this?
He's not pushing it, or either way, but it'll go through whether he signs it or not. So I don't think he's going to veto it. So it'll just go through and become law. And like I had a piece of legislation.
Is this a sure thing with the House?
No, it's not. It's very close in the House as well. And there was a lot of people down sharing their frustration with this piece of legislation. Now, I will tell you, though, for example, when they were up in the galleries in the Senate and everybody stands to do a prayer and a pledge of allegiance, it was frustrating to see a lot of them wouldn't say the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm thinking, you're here coming to say that you're here, you want to love this country, be a part of this country, but you wouldn't even say the Pledge of Allegiance to the country. And I'm going to tell you, they sure didn't help themselves when they do things like that. That's not showing that you want to be a part of the country. That's not showing that you want to assimilate into Tennessee values and so forth. So it's close in the House as well, and we'll see if that passes. I believe it will. I think they've got the votes. But then it won't actually go into effect until a local school system says that they're going to take and implement this. If they're sued, which we would believe they would be sued immediately, it wouldn't be up to the local school board to take that lawsuit. It's up to the Attorney General of the state of Tennessee.
Well, if I can kind of summarize what you said here, I think you're in sympathy with the intent of this, but you don't like the idea that you're not going to educate these children. You want to go after the parents.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you, I think every single other piece of legislation that is around this issue, I've always been supportive supportive of or a co-sponsor of, but I just couldn't get behind the one with kids. But I'm going to work my best to go right along with the agenda to say we're going to make Tennessee not the place of people wanting to come if they're here illegally. We're going to be working on driver's license. We're going to be working on a lot of things to say this is not the place if you're here illegally that you're welcome. We want you to be here legally, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure you follow the law.
Got a minute left. Have we covered most you wanted to talk about?
Coleman, we did. There's a few things that we are going through. We're starting to turn around and say, what is it that we want for next year? And people are saying, hey, here's something that didn't get through this year, but we should be looking at it. So my office is starting to get some calls. Hey, what would we look for? And it's not something we just come up with an idea and we pass it. It takes a lot of time to research what other states have had. So as people are thinking about this would be a good law, we want you to start giving us those ideas now. Don't wait till next January to come up with the idea that you're thinking about. And most of my bills come from the district.
Okay, well, thanks as always for being with us. We'll do it again next Friday if all goes well, and hopefully it will. And you'll be sitting right there telling us what's happened in the next week. Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Coleman.
Senator Mark Pody, our Friday Senate report. We'll take a break right here. Part 2 coming up on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Bates Ford and the Works Vehicle Checkup. They'll make sure your vehicle is ready for any road. $59.95 up to 5 quarts of oil, tax and disposal, tire rotation, and safety check. 1780 Franklin Road. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. A couple of accidents still in the occurring stages. Still a little bit of volume at times. 24 west up through the Antioch area as traffic continues to build in from Murfreesboro, Rutherford County. Still looks pretty good, actually, coming out of Wilson County through Mount Juliet right now. But it'll get heavier in the next 15, 20 minutes on 40 going westbound as you continue up past B&A Airport here in Donaldson. Prince's Hot Chicken has new items on the menu. Check them all out this weekend at princeshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Cumberland Phoenix Baseball is back in action and chasing another Mid-South Conference championship with a big 50-game schedule, including a whopping 35 home games. That gives Phoenix fans plenty of chances to catch a game or two at Woody Hunt Stadium, also known as the Six, where all U.S. military veterans get in free. You can hear every game on these radio stations or on GoCumberlandAthletics.com. We'll see you at the Six.
Gregory Dental Group in Lebanon is in a new location, 1746 West Main in Lebanon, across from Sports Village. Gregory Dental Group offers cosmetic procedures, dental implant services, and digital dentures. Premium dentures in just 2 appointments.
Hi, I'm Dr. Derek Gregory. In my office, you can count on compassionate staff who will truly listen to you, take the time to get to know you, and discuss your personal needs.
No insurance? No problem. Call about the discount plan. Gregory Dental Group, 444-0322.
We'll have cloudy skies today with occasional rain showers. Highs will be around 60. Partly cloudy tonight, lows around 40, and then partly cloudy on Saturday, highs remaining around 60. This weather forecast brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. With your Severe View forecast, I'm Drew Richards.
And again, good morning and welcome to part 2 of Coleman and Company. We've got Judy Cox with us this morning, representing the C&D team of Exit Rocky Top Realty, 1330 West Main in Lebanon. They are great people with great service and people you can trust. And I want to know about your husband this morning.
Well, excuse me, Coleman. He's doing a lot better. He's been resting. Yesterday, he got to go outside for the first time and walked around for. He's supposed to walk for 5 minutes, and at 4.5 minutes, he's ready to go in. But he thought he could walk longer, but he's learning that it's just going to take time, and it'll come back. He's feeling okay. It's just he wants to do something, then he finds out he just can't quite do it yet. But he's improving.
I hope he's listening, and I want to say good morning and get well soon and all of that. And But it's good to know that he survived this, and it was a five bypass?
Yes, sir.
Which is a lot.
It's a lot.
And it takes a while to recover.
That's right. Yeah. I said, just be glad that you're not building a house for somebody and you don't have to worry about that. You can just sit here, you have nothing to do but relax and recover.
That's right. So, he's got Miss Judy and Medina to take
That's
care.
Right. Well, he's had Medina, but now Medina's husband's in the hospital. So, I said, we're all taking our turn going to the hospital. But he had some health issues, so he's in the hospital, and she's with him this morning. So we want to wish him well. They're going to do a few tests on him today to see what's going on and get him recovered here. So
good. What message you have for us today?
Well, I just
real estate wise.
Well, I wanted to kind of touch on the people getting scammed so much, and just if you've got elderly parents or you got senior adults in your life, always check and make sure, keep up with what they're doing constantly. At least probably twice a month, we'll have some senior adult walk in our office and they have one of these little cards and they go, "Can you tell me what this means? They want to buy my house." And there are some legitimate companies out there that do that, but there's a lot of scammers that do. Well, the seniors get all excited. They've called them and said, "We're going to buy your house cash and, everything's good. You don't have to do anything but move out." Well, they get excited and they come in there and they talk to us. And usually our first question is, have you talked to your family about this? Because we want them to, have you talked to your kids? Do your kids know? And some of them will say, "Yeah, I talked to them and they told me not to do nothing." And I'm like, okay. And then sometimes they'll say, "No, I don't want to tell my kids because they'll get mad at me for doing this." So it puts us, and of course, we have confidentiality rules that we have to follow. So it puts us kind of in the middle, but we figure out ways to figure out what do we need to do. And because they come in, and most of the time, these things do not pan out like you think. And we had one guy come in, it's probably 8 or 9 months ago, and he had a 1-page contract that he had signed. And he come in and he said, "Can I get out of this?" And when I look at it, it's in the fine print. It says, "For absolutely no reason can this contract be taken away." So I said, "You need to go see an attorney." He had lived in a house for 30 years, a little house here close to Walmart, and had it paid for, was happy. Well, they come in there and was going to buy his house for cash. He thought he was signing something just saying, "Let them look at it." He didn't know he was selling his house. He didn't understand that. And he said, "They tell me I got 2 weeks to be out." Well, the price they were giving him was not enough, and he could not go and buy something else for what he was getting for that house. And here he was just caught in the middle. So we got with him with an attorney to help him figure out a way to get out of it because he did not know what he was signing. So check on your parents, check on your elderly, because right now there are so many scams. Even real estate agents get scammed now because they'll call us I'm from New Jersey and I got property on Sparta Pike and I want you to sell it for me. Well, they're in New Jersey, so you send them the paperwork, they sign, and we're going to list that stuff, and then we find out that's not even who the owner is. So we have to do a lot of research ourselves now, and that's why when you close on property or you're selling property, make sure we got an attorney involved that knows how to get to the bottom of these things, because we've done it for years. We've sold property with somebody being out of state, and we don't know them, and they just send the paperwork, and everybody signs, and you never see them, and then you've sold somebody's property that is not even their property. So you have to be real careful. And there's a case going on right now. He has scammed like 4 different realtors in town with the same scheme on the same property. And finally, he's gotten caught. But it's the kind of thing we all have to be aware of that. And also, make sure you go up to the county courthouse and get with Jackie Murphy and say,
Register of Deeds.
Register of Deeds, and you say, "I've got a piece of property, and this is the name of it, and I want to put a scam alert on it." And that scam alert will, at least if somebody is pulling those records on that property, it will give you a notice that somebody's looking at your stuff. Mm-hmm. So if you've got elderly parents, you just go up there and tell her, she'll take care of it for you. There's no charge. You just get that done. And if you've got more than one property, you got to have it on more than one property. It's not just if you've got several properties in the same name, it's got to be a scam alert on each property. So you just need to be aware. There's people out there, and usually if it's too good to be true, it is.
All right. You got any listings to talk about?
Well, we've got, a lot of people want to get involved and get them some rental houses to rent out to people. So if you're into thinking, hey, I'm going to do that, we did that years ago, and it's a wonderful thing to do. Because the rental payments actually pay the payment on the house, and then eventually they're paid for. And then it's a cash flow thing then. But we've got 2 on Hartsville Pike. They're side by side, and they're both rented right now for good amounts. And the renters want to stay. So, but they're $299.9 each. Each house is. So if somebody wanted to get started in a rental income business, there's your 2 perfect houses right as you turn into Hartsville Pike, right there on the right. So they're almost to the Badura Parkway. And then we just listed a new one in Tulip Grove, and it's over 1,800 square feet, and it's $444.9, but it's 4 bedrooms and 3.5 baths, and it also has a in-law quarters, and they've already put like a $20,000 one of those walk-in tubs is already installed in it. So if you've got somebody elderly that you want to live with you, you've got a perfect place for that one. And it's got an above-ground pool and a fenced-in backyard, and it's in Tulip Grove. So that'll be a good house. And it's ranch style, all one level, no steps going inside of it. And then we've also got another one over behind Al's Food City, or at Mike's Foodland now. And that one's $314.9. And it's got a chairlift going up the steps, going upstairs, but the master's on the main level. So we've got all kinds of listings, land, whatever you want, and this is a great time. If you're thinking about putting it on the market and you just want us to come out and look at it and say, this is what we think we can get for it, there's no charge for that. And if you say, I think I'm just going to stay here, that's fine. So, but we'll come out and tell you what you need to do and what you don't need to do.
All right.
A lot of people do too much work on a house before they put it on the market. Sometimes some things you just need to leave alone.
615-443-3130.
That's right. And Medina will get all over me if I don't say, don't make a move without us.
All right. See you next Friday. Thank you very
you.
much. Judy Cox with C&D Team, Exit Rocky Top Realty. We're about 20 minutes before the hour. And let me say that part 2 of Coleman and Company this morning, our guests are paying for the time. The Wilson County Democratic Women have sent us a couple of guests who are live in studio this morning, and Joni Cochran is one of them. Joni, good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman.
Nice to see you again.
Likewise.
How are things?
Yeah, great.
All right, and you have somebody with us this morning. I think this is the first time I recall. Yeah. Maggie Adkins.
Yes.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Maggie is with the women's group, but is leading the establishment of the Wilson County Young Democrats.
Correct.
All right. So I guess, Joni, we're going to start out with you this morning, and I'm going to ask you, what is the SAVE Act? S-A-V-E.
Yes.
The SAVE Act.
SAVE Act. So that is an act at the federal level. It was passed out of the U.S. House yesterday that would codify and describe how people can register to vote, what documents are necessary in order to register to vote in the states. And what they're doing is requiring either a passport or a birth certificate to be able to register to vote, or to update your registration, your voter registration. So presently we use our driver's licenses, right? And they're saying your driver's license is no longer good enough. Well, that's a problem for millions of women in this country, because their driver's licenses, if they're married women, likely the name on there does not match the name on their birth certificate. And the SAVE Act says if they don't match, you don't vote. So I'll give you an example. A woman I know who is divorced decided to keep her married name, because it's consistent with her children, right? And her birth certificate obviously has a different name, but her passport has her married name, so she's in good shape. You can use a passport or a birth certificate, but for women who don't have a passport, if the driver's license has the married name and the birth certificate has the birth name and they don't match, then they have to go through a legal name change. They have to go through a process where they get their birth certificate changed or they get their name changed back to their birth name. That's and just in that one person's case, we walked through it. Let's say she lives in Tennessee, right, but was born in Indiana. That involves a court order out of Tennessee that then you take to the county that holds the records, to the health department and where she was born, and then has to submit an application along with a certified copy, which means it's an original with one of those raised stamps on the paper, not a fax or a photocopy, and then a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks to pass before the birth certificate can be changed. Now, I don't know, something I've seen various numbers. That's 50 million women, 60 million women, 70 million women that would be affected by that. And it takes a minimum of 6 weeks just on the part of the health department to get your birth certificate changed, let alone the amount of time it takes to go to the courthouse to get the legal name change, and then the expense involved in all that, and all the trips. And then the other thing that this SAVE Act stipulates is that when you make these changes, you have to do it in person. You can't do it online. You have to show up at the election commission. So now we're taking people who have jobs, because the election commission is only open during the day, during the week, can't go in on the weekend. They have to leave their work, go in, stand in line, go through all of this rigmarole. So all they're doing, all the SAVE Act does is make it difficult for people to vote. It, in my opinion, is a mechanism for disenfranchisement in this country.
Did you say this just passed?
The House, the U.S. House.
Has it gone through the Senate?
It has not.
So you are definitely opposed to this.
Yes, sir. How could you tell?
How would you? You want to do away with all of this? What would you do? I mean, we have to have some system to register to vote, but it does seem, from the way you've described this, that's an awful lot.
Yes, sir, it is. I think the system we have right now works. I don't understand why they want to change it. The argument that I have heard, and I think it's a specious argument, is, well, we have to reduce fraud. Well, everything that I've seen, doing a Google search, reading articles here and there, and I can't cite a specific one right now, but if you want me to, I'll get back to you on that, is that voter fraud in this country is so low, it's almost immeasurable.
Okay. We need to take a break right here, so let's do that. Joni Cochran is with us. We're going to introduce Maggie Atkins when we come back, and this program, of course, presented by the Wilson County Democratic Women here on Coleman & Company, FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways, and it's all brought to you by Absolute Kubota. They'll help you rent the right tool for the job. The Kubota Orange Rental Program makes it easy to rent the right equipment. Stop by Absolute Kubota, check out the U35 excavator or the SVL 75 compact track loader, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Wrapping up a couple of wrecks we had earlier out in the Antioch area. Actually hadn't been that bad. It's not as heavy as it normally would be this time of the morning as you work your way in from Murfreesboro, Rutherford County up through Antioch on 24 westbound. A little bit of volume over here coming to Hermitage into Donaldson on 40 coming westbound there passing Donaldson Pike. If you recently suffered some hail or storm damage to your roof, call Independent Roofing Specialists today. Check out their website at irsroofs.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Hey, Medina, here comes the sun. Spring is just around the corner.
Call us and we can come over and tell you what your home is worth in this market, and it's free.
Yes, free and no obligation. It's time to get ready for the spring buyers. Inventory is low. We have buyers who need listings.
Here comes the sun. And remember, don't make a move without us.
Call Judy Cox or Medina Himmentoller at Exit Rocky Top Realty. C&D Team, 443-3130.
It's all right.
I have not heard of it. We continue Coleman & Company here on this Friday morning. And again, Joni Cochran with the Wilson County Democratic Women along with Maggie Atkins. Now, I think we've talked probably enough about the SAVE Act here and why it matters, and especially your side of what you're presenting here this morning. Some very serious things to consider. Now, are there other concerns at the federal level that local Democrats care about?
At the federal level, golly, yes, there's plenty going on up there. Well, we could talk about Doge all day long, and I actually read something yesterday that I think accurately described what they're doing. It's sort of like needing to, rearrange the deck chairs on the deck, but instead what they're doing is just throwing them all out. Everybody can agree that waste and abuse and things like that should be reined in, and it doesn't matter what party you're from. We all agree on that. I think the way they're going about it is not good. I received a document yesterday that somebody shared that lists all of the grants that have been cut. And it's a 51-page document, and as I just scanned through it, it's alarming the amount of money, the millions of dollars that are now not going to public health departments that pay for child immunizations. I'm very alarmed about that. Children need those vaccinations. We need them to have those vaccinations because that's how we keep from dying from things like measles and rubella and whooping cough and all of that. And the federal government has funded that, and now they're not. So that's just one thing that.
Okay, and I think you want to answer this one. Any updates to the Tennessee General Assembly that you're either happy or unhappy about?
Happy about the Monsanto bill failing in the House. Absolutely happy about that. There's no reason why farmers who are being poisoned by the pesticides that they use can't sue and hold the manufacturer liable. That's just, I think, a basic notion that we have operated under for 100 years or more, that companies have a product liability, right? And giving them immunity just doesn't make sense. It gives them a license to poison, and that doesn't help anybody. So I was glad to see that fail. Not happy about the immigration bill. It's not an immigration bill. It's an education bill that passed in the Senate yesterday, and I know Senator Pody was on talking about that this morning. We have a chance to get it stopped in the House. It goes to Finance, Ways and Means on Monday, and my plan right now is to be in the audience when that bill is heard. It's immoral. The whole thing is just immoral. Even the sponsors of the bill will tell you, yeah, we know it's unconstitutional. That's why we want to do this, because we want to challenge a Supreme Court case that we don't like. And of course, they cite the dissenting opinions. And the only thing that I heard yesterday when Senator Watson made his closing argument was, yes, we're putting profits over people. The Democratic Party, writ large, our mantra is people over profits, not the other way around. And this thing just needs to get stopped. And if you want to do something about immigration, then you need to be calling our U.S. senators and our U.S. congressmen and get them to do something. You don't do it on the backs of innocent children. So that was, again, something that I'm not happy about. Something else that I am happy about that did pass out of the House floor yesterday, and I do believe is on its way to the governor, is Iris Rutter sponsored a bill, House Bill 0533, and the Senate bill was 449, that codifies a woman's right to IVF and contraception. So We've got that right stated plainly in our Tennessee Code, or we will very soon as either the governor signs it or it just goes the requisite, I think, 60 days before it becomes law. Was happy to see that because again, in my opinion, there has been a concerted and methodical effort to erode women's rights in the state as well as across the country, and the bill that got passed yesterday was a stop on that.
Okay, now with us this morning, Maggie Atkins, a member of the Wilson County Young Democrats, and is looking to start the Young Democrats chapter in Wilson County. So it's your turn to express yourself here this morning. You've been real quiet while Joni has done a little ranting, right? I'm sort of kidding, but you've kind of fired up a little bit.
Yes, sir.
But why do you feel it's important, Maggie Atkins, to have a Wilson County Young Democrats charter here?
Yeah, I think that young people really need a voice in our community. There's a lot of us who grew up in Wilson County. We've never lived anywhere else. That really love it here and would like a say in how we move forward. The same people have been running this county as long as I can remember. And there's not really much wrong with that, except for we've been dealing with the same issues for 20 or 30 years, making the same decisions to deal with those issues. And is that not the definition of insanity? Expecting the same solutions to solve the problems? We've got overcrowded schools. We've got infrastructure that's not keeping up with the demand to live here. And a lot of us want to stay. And that's not really possible at the moment for a lot of us to stay and live in Wilson County. So tonight we've got an interest meeting, if anything that I said resonates with you, at the Lebanon Chamber of Commerce at 7 p.m. That's on the town square. So if you're between the ages of 18 and 35 and you want to talk to me more about this, come see me.
What's involved in having this? You've got a certain amount of people you've got to have participate. I'm wondering, are there dues that you pay? Are you promising to attend so many meetings? Obligations that might be required if you're a member.
So obligations as a member, we would expect you to pay some dues. They would not be in an excessive amount. We're going to discuss that and see what people think is fair. There is a national organization that will be chartered under, but the rules for membership are pretty open. It's, if you're interested but you're not sure, we're not going to make you pay dues for an organization you're not sure about being a part of, right? You're welcome to come to any meeting, listen in, decide it's for you and you want to stay and keep coming and pay your dues and be a member, or you're welcome to not come back. We're not going to force anybody to be involved that doesn't want to be.
All right, and that's at Chamber of Commerce on the square tonight. What time did you say, 7?
7 p.m.
7, all right.
We will have dinner. There's free food.
All right. And is this primarily to see if there's enough interest to have this?
Yes. So we've gotten some feedback that there is interest for it, but, interest online doesn't always line up with interest in person. So we're hoping that people show out tonight. We'll probably hold another interest meeting in May just to make sure if people couldn't come tonight. We'll make sure there's another opportunity to show interest. And if there's enough people, we're going to move forward.
All right. So you said if there's enough, is there a minimum requirement?
I think we need about a dozen people to move forward.
Okay. So, if you don't have at least 12 people who are interested, you don't have much interest, in my opinion.
I agree.
And it would take that many people to do almost anything, wouldn't it? 5 or 6 could do something, but really to say you have interest here, I would say you need at least a dozen. So that's what you're hoping for, that or more.
Exactly. I think a dozen people exist in the community that want this, and we're hoping to find them. I think a lot of us care about the same things. I think we care about the cost of living in Wilson County. I think we care about our personal freedoms. I think we care about, having a safe environment for our children that we want to have someday. So it's kind of our goal.
All right, we've got about 3.5 minutes left here this morning. And Joni, is there other things you want to talk about, or what? How do we want to fill this 3.5 minutes?
3.5 minutes. Well, let's see. I have a list of things here. So, another bill that passed out of the House yesterday had to do with, how do I want to say it? Abolishing affirmative action. Now, there's a Supreme Court decision that says we can't do it. It was that case with Harvard that happened in the last year or so, 2 years maybe. But so Jason Zachary brought a bill that puts that in the Tennessee code, that affirmative action basically can't be used in admissions decisions and hiring practices and things like that. Well, it applies mostly to higher ed. But what was interesting was that somebody brought an amendment Corey Johnson actually brought an amendment that would also prohibit legacy admissions. And the GOP-controlled House voted against that amendment. So while it is now when the governor signs the bill. Now, against the law, illegal, subject to a cause of action in court if somebody feels like they've been discriminated against. You can't get in on the basis of race or gender or anything like that, but you can get in if your mom or your dad graduated from that institution, or your mom or your dad gave a lot of money to that institution. So you can probably see where I'm going with this. It's a case of, well, if I've always been privileged, then I'm going to continue to be privileged, and the rest of you all just take your chances with whatever's left. And we have a long history in this country of trying to even out the field so that people who don't have privilege at least have a shot, right? And I feel like the supermajority is, again, working feverishly and methodically at taking us back to a time when if you're in, you're in, and if you're not, you're not. And we're going to keep it that way.
We got a minute left here. You're how active are you? You've been on the legislature, been a spectator or more.
Yes.
Most of this session.
Yeah, more so than ever probably. I go down there when I can. I'm not down there every week, but I go down there when I can, and when I can't, I'm online. I watch the hearings live, and the ones that I can't watch live, then I go back and watch the recording. So I spend a lot of time on my computer. I was at my eye doctor yesterday, and she's like, "How much time do you spend on the screen?" And I'm like, "Well, way too much." But anyway, so yes, I try to be as involved as I can. There is a lot going on, so it's a challenge to keep up. But I'm retired. I'm not really doing much else.
Okay. Well, we have come to the end of our time here this morning, but let me say, Maggie Atkins, thank you for being with us. And again, just quickly, this meeting is when?
7 p.m. at the Lebanon Chamber of Commerce. Tonight.
Okay, tonight. And so that's going to do it for Friday. And Joni, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And again, this has been paid for by the Wilson County Democratic Women. Have a nice weekend, everybody. Till Monday, I wish you a fantastic day.